Let's take a look at the at the sentence, what line by line. We see what's the purpose of that sentence. Is it good or is it bad, and how to improve on it. Zheng Zhuo, let's begin. What's the first sentence about? Stand. Government should direct more resources. Oh, I agree. Following an earthquake. Effectively, that's a stand. Oh, where's the letter go? Is this a good thing to have in the first sentence? Yes. You wrote it as a point. Okay, before that. If this were to be a stand, should a stand be within the factor paragraph itself? Yes, no? I'm bringing this up because I've seen a lot of students in one class or another, depends on how their teacher teaches them. They like to put the stand inside the sentence, inside the factor paragraph itself, which is technically not wrong, but there is an issue that I want to highlight. Okay? What do you think? Good, bad? Good? Okay, why is it good? You just say it's good, right? That's your opinion, right? Why is it good? To show what you're arguing. Okay, fine. Agreed so far. If you were to say there's a 3-paragraph essay for a marker to read, having that as your first sentence, it might make it clearer for the reader. Second point, contrary point to that, I would think about what Terence mentioned. This could also be just a P. That this could be a point on its own, just to introduce the factor itself. Might be possible as well. But if you were to think of it as a stand, as a stand, if I were to say, I agree that government should direct more resources to long-term response. Then after that, my second paragraph is short-term response, right? Then I write down there, I agree that government should also direct resource to short-term response. What does that make it? Contrasting. So it becomes confusing to a reader. I don't know what's the focus. Wrong. Okay? So be careful on that. If you want to write down the stand in your factor paragraph, I'm fine with it. But be careful you don't use the same phrasing for both sides. Okay? So instead, what I would recommend is for your factor paragraph, rather than having a stand, you have a point. So Terence said that this could be a point, but I would say that it's not clear, because to Zheng Zhuo, this was a stand to him. How can you make it clearer that this is a point? Yes, so how can I phrase it such that I'm focusing on long-term responses? To help general society. So rather than talking about directing resource, just talking about general society. How will you write it? That's my question. And Jared, just because I'm asking Terence doesn't mean that you did not pay attention. How will you write it? Not sure? Anybody want to try and help? How will you write your topic sentence for this? To introduce long-term response. From looking at this, would you know that this is a long-term response? Do you know what long-term response is to begin with? It's not clear, right? What a long-term response is. What is a long-term response? Ilan, what do you think? What is a long-term response? Yeah, sure. So you can help people for a longer period of time. Yeah? So I would say that to be my first point instead. Yeah? Long-term responses, what happened to the pen? I could say that as my topic sentence instead. So my focus is on the long-term response rather than talking about whether government should direct resource or whatnot. Because that one might distract the question and people might think that that's a stand. Honestly, if I were to think about it, Zheng Zhuo, honestly, when I first came up with it, this wasn't a stand. I'm not saying government should direct more resources. I'm just saying the government should direct resource. So it's not really a stand. But I agree that it could lead to confusion. So this could be a better way for you to write down. Okay? Ayo, what happened? Then, again, if you recall, the purpose of point P is so that you don't assume your reader knows what is the factor that you're talking about. Here, you don't need to assume. The reader, after reading my first sentence, will know what long-term response is about. Okay? We go into the second sentence. Caroline, what do you think the second sentence is about? Caroline, right? No, Caroline is there. I feel like I just said your name just now. Did I? What's your name? What? Cecilia. Sorry, Cecilia. What's the second sentence about? What is it about? Why bring up all these points? I'm not asking what's inside there. I can read. But what's it for? Is it a P, an E, an L? E? Is it an E? So to you, these are E's? Everybody agree that these are E's? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So I'm just kind of introducing the idea of two long-term response, rebuilding of infrastructure. Or not two, just one. Okay. So this is kind of an E, but without really proper elaboration. So it's not really like a full-on E+. Yeah. We move on to the next sentence. This helps provide locals with a sense of security. Would that be an elaboration or a link? Link to help society or a link to say what is this long-term response? Is it a link to say how it helps society, or is it an E plus to show how it is a long-term response? It's more of an E. It's more an E plus, is it? When it comes to providing locals with a sense of security. Okay. Well, then in that case, my sentence may not be as clear. My intent was to show that this was a link, because my E plus, as you can correctly see, because you're thinking this is E plus, because my original, this first sentence, is not clear yet. You don't know what rebuilding of infrastructure is about, right? So I would say my E plus is not fully developed. Rebuilding of infrastructure likely to be destroyed by the earthquake vibrations. Okay. You can talk about the fact that you can improve on them. Using stronger materials. Or you can talk about rebuilding infrastructure that can help with trade and tourism to continue. Okay. These are how I can improve on my E+. So this portion is supposed to be my E+. Such as ports. That's the point that just now Jun Xian brought up. Okay, so these are my E+. Then the next sentence was supposed to be my link. Okay, how it can help society if you were to rebuild all this stuff? It will give locals with a sense of security. It can give them, allow the country to recover through further occupation. But as Hayden correctly pointed out, if this is supposed to be a link, I can't tell why suddenly there's occupation involved. Okay. I can say further to say that the construction work can help with the occupation, can provide more occupation. So that people will have jobs to do. Remember in the Nepal case study, they don't have a job. They don't have any source of income. So the fact that government wants to rebuild an infrastructure can say that there is jobs for them now. So far make sense? Elisa can? Yes, Terence. It's supposed to be a link, but it's not clear as a link. It will help society by giving them employment. Okay. If we look into that, yes. Sure. Has the bell already rung? Oh, the bell already rung. Okay. Then let me just quickly continue for the rest of it. Okay. So if we have to take a look for the rest of this sentence. Additionally, governments can also provide healthcare, such as the effort by New Zealand. So providing of healthcare, this is my intent to be a second E+. Okay. But within the same sentence, I didn't just leave it as that. I brought up the idea of the New Zealand 2011 Christchurch earthquake, where they provided psychological care. This is example. The 2011 earthquake in Christchurch, where they provided psychological care. This is my example with relevant fact and figure. Okay, if you notice, my example is not a separate sentence. My example is part of my E+. I use it to prove my point. Okay? At the same time, by saying that I'm providing care for my citizens affected, this is my attempt at a link. Whether it's good or bad, I'll leave it to you for your own judgment. But this is an attempt at a link. Okay? Similarly, my E+, whether or not just providing such healthcare is enough as a strong enough E+, I'll leave it up to your judgment. You want to improve on it, by all means improve in the annotation by the side. Okay? Finally, I go into the last point. If you see with the word however, makes it clear that now my focus is going to be on my E-. However, the success is limited. Again, it's going to be E-. Buildings can be destroyed again by the next earthquake. And the provision of psychological care is challenging as the victims are difficult to identify. 2 E-. But if you realize, this one, both of them didn't really have any link. No link back to society. No link back to saying that therefore there are people who might still be traumatized that's not identified. That will be a link back to society. No link back saying that the sense of security could be false because the building can collapse again. No link back to society. Okay? So far, can? So what I would like you to do is, I want you for your homework. Sorry, Ian. Your birthday today, I want you for your homework, you will be... Oh wait, I can end the recording.